What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Friday, getting everybody set for a football weekend. The Titans go on the road again, looking for its first road victory up against the Indianapolis Colts, the first divisional game of the season for the Titans. And we're talking today. We'll get into the Colts preview a little bit because we haven't talked a lot of Colts the last few days, talking a lot of Titans, a lot of Kyle Phillips, a lot of offensive line, a lot of NPF, and some other storylines as the Titans get some guys back. We'll talk about the new knee injury update for wide receiver Treylon Burks here to start, but then we're going to get to the upset threat of Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor making his season debut. So we'll talk a lot today about several different stories here. And Sam, it's also Friday, which means ain't that good news to let us go to the weekend. So we're going to have a fun show this morning. Hope you're having a good start to your Friday. Let's get this thing rolling.
Hey, let's do it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you get this going by hitting the share button in the bottom right. If you're watching on YouTube, take the YouTube link, tweet it out, send it in a group chat, send it to a friend, and share it that way. However you're watching, make sure you share the show on this Friday morning. That's the best way to support us. Get more people involved in the chat. That makes for better conversation, better shows. It's just a good thing to do overall. So before we get things going here on a Friday morning, Austin.
What did I say?
No, I'm just saying it for myself because I can never seem to keep track of what day of the week it is.
Okay, yeah.
It is a Friday morning. Make sure you share the show before we go.
Yep, let's get it going officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is our Titans reporter, Sam Phelan at A2Zsports.com. Got to make sure you like the show and also share it as well. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show on our Twitter X timeline. You can follow us there at A2Z Sports, and also hit us up on every other social media platform, including Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more Titans conversations and content. I'm actually going to go live on TikTok, Sam, for the first quarter, at least the first quarter of the Titans Colts game. Yeah, going live on TikTok, doing that little experiment, see how that plays out for everybody. But got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by seeing them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That's better coverage, rates, and service at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Aura app, keeping us safe online. You can get a 2-week free trial with our link, aura.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations in the mid-state, in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro for all your equipment needs, KrebsKubota.com. So, Sam, we'll talk a lot about the Colts matchup with Anthony Richardson. The first time Titans players and fans will get to see him up close and personal and his effect with his legs and how he can beat teams and make teams pay in the NFL. The Colts are 2-2, got to win without Richardson, as Gardner Minshew was able to beat the Ravens, who the Titans play next week in London. And we'll talk about Jonathan Taylor, who is making his season debut after all of the late summer drama with his contract negotiation, owner Jim Irsay, his injury situation, and being on the PUP list for the first month of the year. But another guy who has been injured over the last month and a half or so at this point is Titans wide receiver Treylon Burks. Had a big training camp, goes up to Minnesota for joint practices in the middle of August, has a big catch on a deep ball from Ryan Tannehill, sprains his LCL on his left knee after that catch, misses a couple weeks of practice, comes back, plays against the Saints, didn't do much, plays against the Chargers, has a big 70-yard catch, but then plays against the Browns, didn't do much either, and he missed last week's game against the Bengals, and he has not practiced so far this week. And Sam, somebody asked in the chat on the YouTube waiting room before we went live, Rooney says, what happened to Burks? Anyone know? Well, Buck Rising was able to put together a report yesterday at A2Zsports.com to give us a little bit more insight on what Treylon Burks is dealing with, because he has not practiced since the Wednesday leading up to the Bengals game. And here's the Buck's excerpt on A2Zsports.com. The former first-round pick went down in the team's week of work leading up to Cincinnati. Burks did not practice on Wednesday and Thursday of this week as well. Tennessee is hoping that a short-term rest will allow Burks sufficient time to recover without an injured reserve stint. So that's an excerpt there that Buck had. You can go read the full article at A2ZSports.com. I'm going to go grab that link and drop it in the chat for everybody. But Sam, what's your reaction to the Treylon Burks update that Buck published yesterday?
Yeah, so this has kind of been the feel around the building at St. Thomas Sports Park, the feeling around me and some of my fellow media members. And of course, Buck comes out with a great report here to kind of put some decent context to it. He's been listed with a knee. Mike Vrabel has said it is unrelated to the LCL sprain. It is a separate issue that Treylon Burks is currently dealing with. And this was sustained and suffered during the week last week. It was on Wednesday of last week that Treylon Burks was out there while us media members were out there watching the beginning of practice. He did not finish practice and was listed as limited that day. We did not see him Thursday. We did not see him Friday. He was ruled out for the game, and we are yet to see him this week. So Mike Vrabel said he would miss about a week or so. I've kind of had the feeling that this was going to be a multi-week thing. And as Buck says, it's an interesting spot for the Titans. You don't want to throw Treylon Burks on injured reserve right away because you do have that bye week after the third game that he would miss after you play Baltimore in London. And so then you have that extra week potentially to get him back against Atlanta if you think that's the realistic timeline for him. And so I think the Titans right now, as Buck said there, they're kind of playing it by ear, hoping that rest is enough for Treylon Burks to be back either for Baltimore or for the Atlanta game right after the bye. And they're not forced to throw him onto IR. Both, Austin, because you don't want Treylon on IR and forced to miss that Falcons game, but you also don't want to use one of your IR activations that you and I talked about on the show the other day on a guy who you could potentially avoid putting there at all.
Yeah, especially ideally, you don't have to wait that long. But he's not playing against the Colts. Like, I think that's fairly clear right now.
He's going to be ruled out today by Mike Vrabel at around noon when I go talk to him at St. Thomas Sports Park. And we say, hey, Mike, who's out? He's going to say Burks. And, wait on that tweet coming because that's coming.
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen. Burks is out. So he's not yet out, but not going to play against Indianapolis. Will he travel to London? I think that's kind of the next thing. And, the Titans, you mentioned, and Buck said in the report of hoping to avoid the IR stint because that's 4 games. The Titans have
not 4 weeks, 4 games.
They have 4 games in 5 weeks, right? So you can get the 4 weeks if including the bye week. But if you put them on IR, then it is another week in another game with the Falcons game, like you mentioned. Jeff asked, what's the new injury? Here's the thing is that it is a knee injury. Sam, I don't know if you know this.
Same leg.
Same knee. So it's the same knee, the left knee for Treylon Burks that is not related to the LCL. And I'll go ahead and show Buck's report up here again from A2ZSports.com yesterday. Went down in practice leading up to Cincinnati on that Wednesday. Did not practice the rest of that week. Has not practiced at all this week. Tennessee is hoping that short-term rest will allow Burks sufficient time to recover without an injury reserve stint. Now, Jeff's asking, what's the injury? Just saying a knee injury doesn't really give us enough, but that's where speculation begins. Is that, okay, is it another sprain? Because he sprained his LCL? Is it something else or like that? Bone bruises are things that this fan base has learned and seen with A.J. Brown and his knee over the last several years. Kenny Pickett has a bone bruise in his knee. We know that just needs some time to rest. We don't know outside of left knee, same knee, but it's not the LCL. That's kind of what we know. So it could be, any of those other ligaments like, meniscus, ACL, PCL, MCL, pick your choice of what that could be, or a bone bruise, which kind of involves the meniscus. So we don't know that. We just know that he hasn't practiced, and I don't think the plan is for him to practice. Really, I don't even know if it's next week leading up to London.
Yeah, I think that's, like you said it, right? That's the question is, he's not going to be out there today. He's not going to, make the trip to Indy. He's not going to play against the Colts. next week, Wednesday, when we take, head out there to watch practice, do we see number 16 on the field? That's the big question right now. And Titans fans, I think, crossing their fingers that they can get him back sooner rather than later. But Austin, you also don't want to rush him back. Like, you don't want to potentially lose Treylon Burks for a longer period of time, in the sense that, like, if Treylon Burks is playing at 70%, is that somebody who you want back or to rush back if another week could potentially have him back at full strength?
Yeah, for sure. Because the goal is to get Treylon Burks back full strength. And that kind of leads us into our first question, Sam, which I think is going to be interesting. I think neither of us tipped how we felt about our answers in our pre-show conversation meeting. How important is Treylon Burks to the Titans' season-long offensive success? And we're going to do this on a 1 through 10 scale. How important is Treylon Burks to the Titans' season-long offensive success? This is going to be fascinating, in my opinion, on what we're going to dive into with the answers to this question. But first, I'm going to tell everybody about Krebs Kubota, who is the answer to your equipment success and your project success around your house. Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 amazing locations in Middle Tennessee, Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. KrebsKubota.com is their website, so go check that out for all of your equipment needs. But they are an elite Kubota dealer, which means they have the best equipment in the industry with the Krebs brand, the best warranties in the industry with Krebs as well. Also, Krebs Kubota does customer service like nobody else in Middle Tennessee when it comes to equipment you're looking for. So make sure whenever you have that project around the house, no matter how big, no matter how small, Krebs Kubota can help you take care of it all. Here I am, Dr. Seuss again, but find them online at KrebsKubota.com.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Full disclosure, guys, I went on BetMGM in honor of Dick Butkus and rode the Bears yesterday on Bears money line.
Nice.
It was a nice morale game. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. Join me in feeling good. Get in on the action this weekend, whether that's college football, NFL, Major League Baseball playoffs, but do it with the bonus code ATOZ Sports, ATOZ Sports, and up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. Even if your first bet loses, you get a second chance to win big. That's the king of sportsbooks and the power of BetMGM.
All right, so the question here is, how important is Treylon Burks to the Titans' season-long offensive success on a 1 through 10 scale? So we just went through it again. Buck Rising reports yesterday on AtoZSports.com a new knee injury for Treylon Burks. And then you've got that the Titans are trying to avoid the IR stint and rest him. So how important on a 1 through 10 is Treylon Burks to the Titans' season-long offensive success? Sam, I'll send you to the chat.
Billy Jones at a 6. Eddie is at an 8. Major Keys says right now a 6. Andrew says 4. Anthony says 5. A 2 from Hello Ladies. 6 from Pistol Ramsey. 3 from Nathaniel Ellison. 6 from Scott. 6 from David. 3 from Jeremy. About a 6 from Run Left. 3 from Jeremy. 7.5 says Matt. 3 says Jeff. 8 says That Boy KB. 6 says Derek. 6 says Run Left now. Kind of, wasn't he just at a 3? I don't know what we got going on over there. Yeah. Orlando says 8. Linwood says 8. 7 from Ian. 7 from Jacob. A 9 from Top Tier. 8 with parentheses season long from Titan Fox. And yeah, this is the season long Titan success. How important is Treylon Burks? So Titan Fox at an 8. 6 from Colby. 2 from Rooney. 7.7 from Lane. A 7.5 from Brad, 7 from Joe, 6 from Pistol Ramsey. We've got a 7 from Caleb. So some pretty decent scores. A 5 from Jaron. All over the place. I feel like 5, 6, 7, the most common answers here. Austin, where do you sit on this one?
First, let's. I want to ask you so we can kind of have this conversation between the two of us. On a 1 through 10, where is Derrick Henry in your mind?
9.
That's what I was going to say. On a 1 through 10, where's Ryan Tannehill?
10.
That's what I was going to say too. Where's DeAndre Hopkins?
8. I mean, like, probably somewhere between 8 and 9. I think
Yeah,
if we're doing
8.5 is what I was
yeah,
thinking.
8.5.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay,
think
so
if you're going based on most important players to the offense, Tannehill's number 1. We know
yep.
that like the quarterback position, how important that is. Derrick Henry, even with Tajay Spears on this team, having both of them is so much more dangerous than having just one of them. And Derrick Henry is still your guy. So I think he's next up. And yeah, D Hop's probably that third at 8.5 ish.
Just because Roy asked, what about NWI?
Are we going down the?
Yeah, sure.
Going down
Because I want to figure out where Treylon Burks truly is and how he compares to his
Oh
teammates,
gosh.
right?
So the question's now, what is NWI's importance level?
Well, just to gauge it, like it's easy. Like I don't think Treylon Burks is going to rank higher than Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and DeAndre Hopkins. So
Yeah, I would
NWI
agree
is
with that.
obviously a step down. So it's just where do you think NWI is at?
4.5.
Which I think is fairly high.
I think he's been fairly good.
He has been fairly good. But
So I mean, I'll give you my answer here.
okay.
I am going to go with a 6.5. I was back and forth between 6 and 7. So I'm going to settle on a 6.5. My answer would have been a lot higher before watching Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Akine the last few weeks. And the way that those two have stepped up, Chris Moore making plays downfield, NWI seemingly being there when you need him every single time you've got a big third down or a big pickup to go get. The way that those two have stepped up have made Treylon Burks slightly less crucial and essential. But for those of you that are down here at 3 and 4, when Treylon Burks is at 100%, he still changes games. And this offense still looks completely different when Treylon Burks is out there. Chris Moore's been great. NWI's been great. You don't have that size, speed, athletic combo on your offense anywhere else but in Treylon Burks. And so for downfield passing, for commanding attention from opposing defenses that allows guys like DeAndre Hopkins and Kyle Phillips and NWI to get open on these intermediate routes, Treylon Burks is still very, very important. So I think we've seen a blueprint last week in how the Titans offense can succeed and thrive without Treylon Burks. So for that reason, I can't be up in like the 9 and 10 range, but there's no doubt he makes them better.
Yes.
And that they would rather have him than not, and that he is still very valuable. So I'm at a 6.5 is kind of where I'm settling. And like I said, before last week, I'm probably closer to an 8.
I think if I asked you this question going in the training camp, where would you have been?
9 or 10.
I agree.
I've like coming into training camp, I thought Treylon Burks, and we talked about it a lot. Like I thought his impact could have been larger than DeAndre Hopkins. So the numbers gone down throughout the season, but even going into last week, I'm probably 7.58 still. But when you see a blueprint and you actually watch the offense score 27 points and look really, really sharp without him, it does knock down that number a little bit of like, okay, it's possible to do this thing without 16 on the field.
So Jesse says his average separation is lower than both NWI and Chris Moore. I don't know if Jesse's pulling those numbers from somewhere. Like
it's probably
this season,
next gen stats.
This season, I could see that being the case. Like because Treylon Burks has had a knee injury ever since the regular season began because he got hurt in Minnesota. But I know last year when Treylon Burks was healthy, Treylon Burks was ranking fairly high in separation created by NFL receivers. But the problem was he had a turf toe injury that cost him a chunk of games, and then a concussion that was just should have been way more than just a 15-yard penalty that was assessed on the kickoff. That was so ridiculously bad by Marcus Epps. I'm never ever going to forget Marcus Epps' name, one, because his last name is Epps and his first name starts with an M, but also because he should have gotten punished more by the hit that he had on Treylon Burks. So I think my answer, because we're going season long, because I think we both and everybody in the chat can agree the Titans know how to win games without Treylon Burks on the field. That recipe, that list of ingredients involves Derrick Henry to go for 100 yards, Ryan Tannehill to be pretty clean when it comes to taking care of the football, D-Hop and to have a good productive game, and NWI and Chris Moore and Chig to all make plays to make up for that. Like, that's the recipe there. I think for season-long success, I still believe Treylon Burks is what unlocks this offense to the next level. And I got in a lot of trouble last year for using the word unlock when it came to Austin Hooper, and Zach never let me forget it. But Austin Hooper became unlocked, and the Titans were more productive once he got involved routinely. But Treylon Burks, for me, Sam, I'm at a 7. I still believe DeAndre Hopkins, to this point, is more crucial to the Titans' offensive success because of his veteran ability.
He's proven to be. He's proven to be. Like, he gets targeted way more, and he's more available, and way more important right now.
Yeah, so, I see Chris Frazier's laughing at me, but I think Treylon Burks is the next gear that this offense hasn't been able to shift into. And we saw it, right? Like, they were sitting there down, I think, 11-0 with 8 total yards of offense. And Treylon Burks catches a 70-yard bomb from Ryan Tannehill. First and goal at the 5, touchdown. You're right back in this thing. And so that's where I truly believe that Treylon Burks is valuable. And so, again, we're asking this question: how important is Treylon Burks to the Titans' season-long offensive success, 1 through 10? I think the reason why they are treating Treylon Burks with caution, and I'll show it again, this is from Buck, Tennessee is hoping that short-term rest will allow Burks sufficient time to recover without an injury reserve stint. If they thought, I think them resting Burks to gear him up for the second half of the season is kind of like what you see in other leagues where, all right, a guy might be dinged up. Could Treylon Burks play? Maybe. Maybe he could play Sunday if this was week 16 or 17 or 18. But it's week 5. Last week was week 4. Sure, you won't need to win, but it's week 4. You're going to be okay. You want him ready in December and January to go push for something real. And so I think he is that valuable. I think he's the 4th most important offensive player behind Tannehill, Henry, D-Hop, and then it's Treylon Burks. The offensive line is kind of hard to throw in this conversation when it comes to that, just because the unit needs to be good overall. But I think that's kind of where I sit on this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I look at this schedule, right? And you can beat the Colts without Treylon Burks. You can maybe even sneak your way past the Ravens without Treylon Burks. And then you've got teams that just don't really have wildly explosive offenses in Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, like teams that are beatable without Treylon Burks. But I look at the end of the year here, Austin, and I see 2 games with Jacksonville and a date with Seattle and a primetime game against the Miami Dolphins and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Tua. And I think the Titans are going to play games late in the season that you are going to need, much like you did against an explosive offense in the Los Angeles Chargers. You are going to need that big play from somebody. And Treylon Burks is the guy who can give you that and kind of give you that spark plug. So right now, I think there's a recipe for the Titans to win some games without him. But late in the year, and especially when you start looking at like playoff football, if the Titans do get to that point this season, you're going to need that deep threat and that guy who can change a game and flip a field on one play to really help this offense be able to go get quick points. Like, what do we see in the playoffs all the time?
Yeah.
Teams that have success late in the year, it's teams that can go down and as Zach Bingham likes to say, a minute and a half, no timeouts. Can you go and position yourself to kick a field goal or score a touchdown and win a game? The Titans are much, much, much better equipped to do that when Treylon Burks is on this team.
Yeah, I'll ask a follow-up question, and I have starred several comments that I want to get to here on this. But my next question, Sam, is can the Titans make the playoffs if Treylon Burks is out for the season? So I'll let you chew on that for a second. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where to go. Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should get all of your health coverage, whatever situation you may be in. FBHP.com/ATOZ. They can help you out, make it work. When it comes to yourself, if you're out there conquering the world by yourself as an independent contractor or entrepreneur, maybe you're single and young and just going to do it, you need Farm Bureau Health Plans to have your back. Maybe you have a growing family and you and your spouse have plans to continue to grow that family. And you want to make sure that everybody's safe and you're covered in every situation you may find yourself in. Farm Bureau Health Plans, they've got you there too. Whatever your situation, Farm Bureau Health Plans, they make it happen. Over 200 locations across the state of Tennessee. And they've been doing it for Tennesseans for over 75 years. Just check them out online at fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. That's a second chance to win big. So when you place that first wager, make sure it's with that bonus code ATOZ Sports. And even if your bet loses, your money's going back into your account in the form of a bonus bet, and you get a second chance to win big. That is the power of the king of sportsbooks at BetMGM.com and the BetMGM app.
All right, so I got a funny face from Sam when I asked the question real quick. Can the Titans make the playoffs if Treylon Burks is out for the season, right? I don't know where you're going to go with that funny face, but my point is, I'm not saying he's out for the year at all. I'm just saying, like, if he pushed through something and then got hurt and then was out, how important is he to making the playoffs this season? So I think by, Chris says, yes, they can make the playoffs. So does Troy. So does Joshua. So does Hello Ladies. And Joshua again says easily yes. Zoe says no. Amar says yes. Top Troop says yes. Curtis says yes, not needed. Maven says yes. Linwood says yes, they can. Rooney says yes. Gene says yes. D says hell no. Vibe says yes, pending the O-line. Delvin, says yes because of D-Hop. Billy says yes. Jody says no. And then Jake says this team ain't making the playoffs with or without Burke. So explain your funny face, Sam, and what you were thinking when I kind of, this is an organic on the fly off the top of my head question here.
Well, I just, I don't know if I should be having a conversation about Treylon Burks being out for the year because he's not.
No, I'm just saying like that, but we're talking about season-long success, right? It's his importance level, season-long success on offense. If you remove him from the conversation, how does that change the ability?
In a hypothetical world where Treylon Burks were to miss the entire season,
sure,
I do think the Titans can still make the playoffs without Treylon Burks. I think obviously everybody at 2-2, this division is wide open. The Titans seem to be getting a little bit of momentum on offense, and with some improvements to their offensive line that we hope are coming with returns of NPF, Peter Skoronski, etc. I think it could be a little bit easier for the Titans to stay ahead of the chains, do the things that they've talked about, and open up Tim Kelly's playbook, who I think has been very good as the Titans offensive coordinator through 4 weeks here. So yes, I do think it's possible. That being said, Treylon Burks, not a concern right now of me that he would be out for the season.
Totally.
And I don't want to give fans that perception that that's a possibility. That's not where we're at with this.
No, it's not where we're at. And again, I wanted, because we're asking the question, how important is Treylon Burks' season-long success of this offense? And so I'm trying to put ourselves in the mindset, okay, what if he's not there? How can this offense continue to play and be explosive? Because he is the most explosive player at the receiver position. There's nobody disagreeing with that knows what they're talking about. And if he's not there, it takes them down a notch. And my whole point of saying this, could the Titans make the playoffs if Treylon Burks is out for the year? Hypothetically, yes, but there's going to be a long list of things after that but that have to go right for the Titans without Treylon Burks. Like, yes, they could, but Diop has to stay healthy. The running game has to be good. Chris Moore has to continue to average 30 yards a catch. NWI has to be Mr. Third Down. Josh Wiley continues to make steps forward. Andre Dillard doesn't, get burnt every third play. Like there's a lot of other things that come into this because Treylon Burks, just him being out there and catching that 70-yard pass, that's on film. Everybody can see it. Now that he's hurt again, I think you need another one to prove, okay, he can still go get it. And so that just makes everything else a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. So, right. It's a matter of like, is the recipe for success and the blueprint that Tim Kelly showed against the Bengals without Treylon Burks sustainable without him there? Obviously, that version of the offense that like is exercising play action passes and taking some shots is like even more dangerous if Treylon Burks is the one running some of these go routes and, beating his defenders deep. Like I think it takes the Titans from like a fun offense to watch to like a really dangerous offense when you've got D-Hop over the middle, Kyle Phillips and NWI converting third downs, Treylon Burks and Chris Moore is your deep threats and everything that you've got in the running game. But I do think there's a path there. And like I said, my answer to all of these questions, I probably changed drastically with the performance we saw against the Bengals, specifically offensively, because without Treylon Burks, what I saw looked rather sustainable. Now, the question is the offensive line going to be a big enough detriment and a nuisance to the Titans offense that playbook is now limited and those types of 27-point games are not sustainable?
Yeah. So Kenneth says, just got here. Haven't heard an update. Is he back or out for longer? So Treylon Burks, Buck Rising reported yesterday, A2ZSports.com. Treylon Burks had a new knee injury during the week of practice against the Bengals. And he has not practiced since that Wednesday before the Bengals game. Expected, he's not going to play against the Colts. So he'll be missing his second consecutive game. And the Titans are trying to slow play this to be patient and to avoid an IR stint, especially because he's already missed one game. If you put him on IR, then he's out minimum 5 games. And so they're not going to do that because the bye week is right there in the middle of it. Another MB says, Austin, isn't that the assumption with that question? What if Tannehill goes on IR? You have to assume the other things are remaining the same.
I would agree with MB here. So that like, I wouldn't say like, yeah, you know what he's saying, right? What he's
I do. But like Tannehill was a 10 on how important is Treylon Burks?
But I think
Tannehill's a 10.
Question, can the Titans without Treylon Burks make the playoffs? You're taking the Titans as is right now, removing Treylon Burks from the equation. Yeah. I don't think it's fair because that's a different question. Can the Titans make the playoffs without Treylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins? No. So like it's a different question if you start removing other pieces from the equation. I look at the team as is without Treylon and still think that it's a playoff caliber team.
Yeah. And then one thing I didn't list and all my other things the defense has to continue to play at a high level. Like if you don't have the guy that can go score a touchdown or have a big play to get you in the red zone like Burks, then now it's up to the defense to be even that more stout overall. Hello Lady says he's caught 6 passes for 99 yards, guys. Yeah, look, he's had an underwhelming season. In the first, 3 games. We all know that. We agree with that. We've talked about him being, a disappointment to this point, and then he got hurt again. So yes, this is an unfortunate thing for Burks and what Sam and I both thought was going to be the trajectory of his second year in the NFL, but he is important. I had him at a 7 out of 10 of importance for this success on offense, and Sam, you're at a 6.5. So that's pretty dang high, only behind Tannehill, Henry, and DeAndre Hopkins. So we'll see how it plays out, but they need Treylon Burks. He definitely is a different gear when it comes to the Titans offense. All right, Sam, let's hear from Arden Key. Always an entertaining personality. Arden Key was asked by you about Anthony Richardson, and then he gave some good insight about playing the Colts and Anthony Richardson and running back Jonathan Taylor being back for the first time this season.
At the end of that spectrum, very mobile, very athletic.
Yeah, getting them down, making sure we tackle them, tackle them, and affect him. He reminded me a little bit of Deshaun Watson, just a strong in the pocket, big quarterback. We gotta wrap him up. Gotta wrap him up heavy. Hit him up top. But at the end of the day, he's still a rookie. We're gonna do a lot of things to come at him as a rookie to see if he can handle those things.
Can you look back at some of that film from maybe those missed opportunities with Deshaun?
Yeah, we look back at it the week it happened, then last week. Just the missed sacks, the missed opportunities that we had. And it's the same way every week. Just make sure we get those quarterbacks on the ground.
You know all the design runs. You're going to see Taylor on Sunday.
Say that again?
You guys expect to see Taylor on Sunday since he's back at practice?
Yeah. He back at practice. We think he up, so we're gonna expect him to be up. If he not, then we're good.
Yeah. What makes him such an effective running back?
He's a great running back. I mean, he's a known runner in the league. He's been doing it 4 years now. So he's respected and earned that respect.
With Richardson, he is getting more design runs than any other quarterback this year. How much of an opportunity do you feel that would give you to, get to him early in the game and knock him off?
It'd be good. It's a lot of college type stuff, like read option, speed option, those type things. We did a lot of that in training camp, so we knew that we got a lot of quarterbacks in our division, especially that can run the ball with those speed options and things of that sort. So we did a lot of that in training camp, but we up for the opportunity now.
Interesting stuff, man. Top to bottom, right? I mean, you see Arden say, like, they feel relatively prepared for him because training camp, they were preparing to, defend some of the read options and speed options that the Colts might run, especially with an explosive runner like Anthony Richardson. Austin, I thought it was great, asking Arden about Anthony Richardson. He goes, yeah, like he reminds me of Deshaun Watson. All this stuff is good. But at the end of the day, he's still a rookie. And beyond that video in that same interview, he said, look, we are going to come after him. We know that he's a rookie quarterback. We're bringing the heat and we're making sure that he feels the pressure. The hope from Arden and from this Titans front four is that if they bring enough heat at Anthony Richardson, they will force him into making some rookie mistakes and can kind of speed up that internal clock.
Yeah, for sure. So let's ask this question because Arden was asked about Richardson. He was also asked about Jonathan Taylor making his season debut. Who is a bigger threat to upset the Titans? Is it quarterback Anthony Richardson or running back Jonathan Taylor? So who's the bigger threat to upset the Titans? But first, Aura is how you can stay safe online. Our sponsor, Aura, does a fantastic job of helping you out and protect your information from those who are trying to scam you or spam you, or telemarketers that are trying to profit off of getting your information, and data brokers are profiting by giving that information to those telemarketers and spammers. And Aura identifies data brokers who are doing that and automatically removes your information and opts you out from those lists on your behalf. Aura identified 30 data brokers who were selling my information back in April. They got rid of those in about 5 or 6 days. It was really impressive. I don't really get spam calls that often, maybe once or twice over the summer during an election year, which is kind of nuts. Aura's doing a great job for me. They also have password management and protection features, as well as parental controls, credit, identity theft, too. So they can do that, all of that in one app. And we're going to give you a 2-week free trial with our sponsor, Aura. That's a 2-week free trial using our link only, aura.com/ATOZ. So stay safe online. Don't get those spam calls. Aura.com/ATOZ for a 2-week free trial.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM and get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet when your first bet doesn't win. Place a wager of any size up to $1,500, and even if that bet loses, with the bonus code ATOZ Sports, you can get that money back in your account and a second chance to win big in the form of a bonus bet. That's the power of the king of sportsbooks. So get with BetMGM.com and the BetMGM app.
All right, Sam. So we asked the question, who is a bigger upset threat to the Titans, Anthony Richardson or Jonathan Taylor? I'll send you to the chat.
Yeah, so I find this interesting, by the way, and part of the reason we're asking this question is because everybody would know from watching some of the videos, if you were following along with the practice content this week, guys like Arden Key talk about Anthony Richardson like, rookie quarterback, not too worried about him. You ask a guy like Arden Key about Jonathan Taylor, he goes, he's playing, but hopefully he doesn't play because Jonathan Taylor is dangerous. And it kind of surprised me a little bit. So
yeah, he was like, if he's up, then we'll play him. If he's not, then great.
Yeah. And it kind of a weird, I thought that was going to be the response to Richardson, but he goes, rookie quarterback who, we're going to affect him. Let's see what the chat's got to say. Hello Lady says it's Richardson. So does Amnesia. Nick says neither. Gardner Minshew, always the wild card when you're talking about the Colts. Dylan White says Richardson. Zoe says it's AR. Scary Harry says Taylor. And then a lot of AR coming in from Jake, Eric, Jags Got Juice, Apollo, Scott, Deshaun, Myram, Jeremy, Billy Jones. We've got Richardson from Run Left, Richardson from Karen. We've got top tier, Nathaniel, Kenneth. This is all Anthony Richardson here. I'm going to try and see. Kevin thinks Jonathan Taylor's going to have some rust. Chris Vontae says that Taylor might be on a pitch count, which is also a possibility. Not sure what his role and what the capacity of his role is going to look like for the Colts this weekend. Willie thinks it's Taylor. Amanda says Richardson, definitely. Anthony says Richardson. Lee says QB is always the biggest threat against the Titans. So an overwhelming response of Anthony Richardson here. Jason is on Jonathan Taylor. Hammer says Jonathan Taylor, and Minshew has been the better QB. Byron says Jonathan Taylor, no doubt. But Troy believes that JT is still in preseason shape. So, Austin, I think this one is pretty straightforward. And it is because of the explosive plays that the Titans have allowed. And Anthony Richardson leads the NFL in explosive play rate. He has racked up 12 explosive plays through 2.5 games, 2 and change, which is the highest rate of any quarterback in the league. 8 explosive passes, 4 explosive runs, and 4 explosive plays leading to a touchdown. His ability to throw it, run it, and his lack of fear for throwing it downfield, I think, is going to be very interesting and potentially what exploits this Titans defense. So if there is somebody to be worried about, it's Anthony Richardson. 16 times in week 1, Derek Carr threw a pass 10 plus yards down the field. 15 times in week 2, Justin Herbert threw a pass 10 plus yards down the field. 9 times in week 3, Deshaun Watson threw a pass 10 plus yards down the field. And we saw the Titans struggle with explosive passing plays against them in all 3 of those games. Last week, Joe Burrow did it 4 times. He bailed the Titans defense out in a big way. Anthony Richardson's going to do it double-digit times. He's going to push the ball down the field. And so the burden is going to be on the Titans defense, not just to tackle him, but to make sure he doesn't kill them with his arm, throwing to those big tight ends and Michael Pittman Jr. So I'm worried about Anthony Richardson. I think he's the main focus here. Jonathan, Zach, there was a comment that said Gardner Minshew's been the better quarterback. You could say Zach Moss has been just as good as Jonathan Taylor could be for this Colts offense.
Why running backs don't get paid, right? Yeah. Trivia, right? How many times has Jonathan Taylor beaten the Titans in his career?
What year is it for him?
This is his 4th season, but he's played the Titans 5 times. Well, then he played them once.
They've won 6 of 7 and 5 in a row. So
Jonathan Taylor has, he only played him 1 time his rookie season. Jonathan Taylor has been with the Colts playing when the Titans lost to the Colts 1 time. How many yards did Jonathan Taylor have rushing in that 1 win Colts over the Titans?
1 win coincides ironically with when Andrew Luck was still the Colts quarterback.
No.
It goes back to
2020.
The Titans have won 6 of 7 and 5 in a row.
In 2020, the Titans lost to the Colts on Thursday Night Football. That was the FedEx punter Trevor Daniel game.
Okay. I have
34-17. Colts beat the Titans.
72 yards. I don't know.
12. He had 7 carries for 12 yards. And the only time that Jonathan Taylor has beaten the Titans. If you go to 2021, his 2nd year in the league, which was when he led the NFL in rushing, he had over 1,800 yards in that season against the Titans. He had 64 yards. And then the second time against the Titans, he had 70 yards. The Titans did a pretty good job. Those were both Titans wins, but that's a season where the guy had 1,800 yards, but the Titans, for the most part, were able to hold him within check. Now, he had a decent yards per carry in those 2 games, but the Titans were able to get Jonathan Taylor out of the game and not allow him to rack up a high volume of carries. So if you want to go to 2022, when Jonathan Taylor was coming off of being the best running back in football, the most productive running back in football, because Derrick Henry got hurt that year, Jonathan Taylor lost 2 games against the Tennessee Titans. He had 42 yards in one of them, and he had 58 yards in the other. So he combined for 100 yards in those 2 games. He did not score a touchdown either. So the Titans have not let Jonathan Taylor beat them ever. Ever. He's played 5 games against them. They lost the game because of other things when the Colts won. So to me, the answer is Anthony Richardson, because I'm going to bring in my battered Vol syndrome, because Anthony Richardson is a former Florida quarterback. Florida quarterbacks have the tendency to play their best type of games against Tennessee teams and beat them in painful ways. And it might not be your traditional drop back, throw it for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and put up great stats. It's by beating Tennessee defenses because it's 3rd and 7. They get out of a sack and scramble for 8 yards and move the sticks. And you're like, oh my God, you had him in the backfield 3 times and he hurt you. It's that type of stuff. Anthony Richardson has that ability to basically madden you. It's, if you're playing Madden and you are a serious Madden player, you're going to come across the 11-year-old kid that isn't a serious Madden player, that goes for it on 4th down, that fake punts, and that picks the fastest quarterback and runs around and beats you with the legs after you had the right coverage. That is Anthony Richardson.
From experience there? Or
maybe. It's been a while, but maybe. But that is exactly what Anthony Richardson is. He is a quarterback who will hurt you when you played a great down of defense. And you what can you do about that? And Deshaun Watson kind of did the same thing a couple weeks ago. How many sacks could the Titans have had against the Browns if Deshaun Watson didn't get out of I think he broke 4. They could have had 7. They got to him enough to have 7 or 8 sacks, but Deshaun Watson kept it to 3. Yeah. Anthony Richardson's the same type of guy.
Yeah, and he can beat you in so many different ways, which is what makes it very difficult. And this is kind of what's been talked about by the Titans all week of how do you stop him? There's not really a good answer for it. Shane Bowen talked about, it's well, if you try and stay and contain, he's going to step up through the middle and he's going to, escape, the pocket through up the gut and go between the tackles and get a big gain with his legs. If you kind of try and mush rush him and flush him out, he can escape and get the edge and get the outside. And he can, there's a lot of different ways in which Anthony Richardson can beat you. And one of which is still just dropping back and throwing the ball deep down the field. And so, yeah, if the Titans lose this game, and I do believe the Titans are going to win this game, Austin, but if the Titans lose this game, it's going to be because Anthony Richardson kills them and they don't have an answer for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Dadson says Watson is a scrambler while AR is a vertical dual threat in the same way Tannehill is. I definitely think scrambling like Deshaun Watson does is a different skill. I don't disagree, but it's about the ability to shake off a should-be sack and make it a positive play for the offense.
Listen, you want to talk about all the ways Richardson can beat you. Arden Key said he reminded him of Deshaun Watson. Listen to what Shane Bowen says about Anthony Richardson.
The running's unique. I would say he's got the ability to hurt you like Lamar. Different type of runner. He's probably more of a Josh Allen type of runner. Just explosive speed though, can take it the home run, but he's a powerful, strong dude with the ball in his hands. It's going to be tough to tackle him one-on-one. And then just with the arm strength, I think he can sling it. He's got a cannon. He can launch it. He can throw it wherever he wants, different angles. Does a good job on the RPO game, getting it out of his hands quick. So, he's a talented kid. Does a good job.
Design runs. It seems like they do that a lot with him. Is that unique to what you've seen before?
Yeah, you see it with different teams. Some teams do it more than others, but we've seen it in the past. Obviously, Lamar's done that stuff. They did some of that stuff with Hurts in Philly last year. Even Josh Allen on certain situational things. There's some of those quarterback design runs that show up. So it's something we got to be prepared for. They're going to mix it in. They're going to have it. We saw one against Deshaun in Cleveland down in the red zone. So it's becoming more and more with these quarterbacks, just their ability coming from college. I think it's becoming more of an aspect of the game that we got to be ready for each week with these quarterbacks.
So to recap, he can hurt you with his legs like Lamar, but he runs more like Josh Allen and he gets used like Jalen Hurts. I mean, and he reminds Arden Key of Deshaun Watson in the pocket. Like, these are some of the comparisons that Anthony Richardson draws that I think set off alarm bells for anybody who's, going into Indy to play the Colts right now. And how good he has looked as a passer early on in his career has certainly been a surprise to me. And I think a lot of other people, it's not one dimensional, right? He can still air it out and still beat you that way.
Yeah. I saw Andrew says that Anthony Richardson can absolutely beat the Titans. Steven asked this early in the show, maybe even before we went live. Personal opinion for me and Sam, what defense should the Titans run against Richardson to contain him and make him throw to the middle of the field? And, is the middle of the field his weak spot? Because typically that's where young quarterbacks actually do better, is throwing towards the middle of the field, because that's where their vision it's easier, right? Like Marcus Mariota was better throwing down the center of the field than he was the sideline because, well, his arm strength wasn't Richardson's, but still it was an easier read and a quicker read for young quarterbacks. But, when I read Steven's comment, I say cover 2, right? Because your corners are playing, up a little bit. Your safeties are back. You're kind of asking to throw towards the center of the field. You're protecting the outside and you're playing zone. So your defender's eyes are still somewhat on the quarterback when they're in coverage, where in man, that's where the running lanes are wide open. I don't expect a lot of man defensive schemes against the Colts here, just because, if Amani Hooker, Kevin Byard, and the corners are manned up with their nameplates to Richardson, it's a lot of room to run.
Well, and you have to cover for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like, his ability to extend a play is not very good for man coverage. That's how those X plays end up hurting you, right? He escapes the pocket. He extends it with his legs. Cornerbacks have to make a decision like, do I go after the guy? Do I stay back in coverage, get jerseys turned around in man coverage, whatever it is, and you're having to guard for 10 seconds like that. That's how you get beat down the field. So I definitely think dropping into his zone, I think it's going to be really interesting. And to see the balance the Titans have on the front four, it's going to be a lot about, staying committed to rush lanes, not breaking your rush lanes and breaking contain and allowing him free yards with his legs. But I'd like to see a nice little combo here of like, how do the Titans, one, bring pressure to speed Richardson up, but two, fake pressure and drop back into a coverage to maybe confuse him a few times. Like, the goal for the Titans needs to be make Anthony Richardson second guess what he's seeing and make decisions faster than he wants to. If you can do those things, you're going to force him into turnovers and make him make mistakes that allow your defense to come away with the football.
Yeah, no, totally. Absolutely agree on that one. I saw somebody say quarters defense. Yeah, whatever. If Richardson, like Orlando says, is good at throwing down the sidelines,
then run quarters, but
then run quarters, right? So I think that's probably a good move there. So, all right. So Sam, we've got each have a bet to make for this game coming up. But first, tell everybody about the Bone and Joint Institute for us.
The Bone and Joint Institute, they're the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. You can visit them out in Franklin and schedule an appointment at boneandjointtn.org. The Bone and Joint Institute has a state-of-the-art rehab facility to assist in your recovery with everything all under one roof. Their campus has clinic, rehab, image, surgery, testing. It's all in one spot. No driving all over Middle Tennessee to get to different appointments. You just go to one spot and don't fumble with the Bone and Joint Institute. Like I said, out in Franklin, good, reliable care, the best in the business in Middle Tennessee. So visit them, schedule an appointment, boneandjointtn.org.
All right, BetMGM time once again. You can always win big with BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, using our bonus code ATOZ Sports. That gets you up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. That's always huge to take advantage of. So the bonus bets, if your first bet misses, so you have to go big with your first bet offer with BetMGM with our code ATOZ Sports. Also introducing BetMGM's new features for live betting. Maybe you're watching the game on Sunday and drive results, so you can predict and bet on how a drive will end with a score, touchdown, field goal, punt, the longest play on said drive, a lot of other things, as well as same game parlay plus, where you can put together two different same game parlays for all of your football viewing for pro football this season. So check out that with BetMGM. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only, new customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and eligible requirements. First online real money wager. Only rewards issued in knowledge of bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for problem game sport, call Tennessee Red Line 1700-1800. 9. I just botched that.
Whoa.
Number. What? I tried to do it from memory. 800-889-9789.
700, 800, 800, 900.
I don't know what happened. I just went full, bad drunk auctioneer on that one. But yeah, I think whenever you think you know the number by memory, you always mess it up. But yeah, Matt, how are those Survivor Pool doing? Well, we're both out.
Dallas lost to Josh Dobbs, Matt. So that's where I'm at with that.
And I let Sam talk me out of what would have been my win. Yeah.
What did you pick? Did you go
initially I was going to go Seahawks over Panthers, but I adjusted. And who did I pick? And they lost.
I do have one Survivor Pool alive still, but not the one on BetMGM where I can win the big money. So, you know.
That was
if you're looking for a pick, I'm on Detroit this weekend. So
now I'm going to drive myself crazy because I can't remember who I went with. But it was an upset, and I was like, "Dang it, son of a you!" Anyway, all right. So Sam, what is your bet to ride? Hey, Ashley says BetMGM still going for her Survivor Pool. I'll look it up because it was the Texans. I picked the Jags. The Jags lost to the Texans. That's who it was.
Yeah, somebody said that. Somebody said Jeff said you went against the Texans, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your bet for Titans Colts this weekend, Sam?
Titans Colts this weekend. Austin, I'm playing the hits here. I am going with the most reliable cash bet possible on plus odds. Derrick Henry to score and the Titans to win. It is a combined same game parlay on BetMGM at plus 145. 49% of Derrick Henry's rushing yards since 2020 have come against the division. He owns the Indianapolis Colts. He owns the Texans and the Jaguars too, but he specifically owns the Indianapolis Colts. The Titans are going to win this ball game on the road, and it's going to be on the back of King Henry. So I'm running the ball. I'm playing the hits. Henry to score, Titans to win, plus 145 this weekend.
That's pretty good. That's not bad at all. I'm actually going to go with a Colts bet. I like that, Sam, but I think this bet will hit regardless of the game's outcome. I'm going to take the Anthony Richardson over rushing yards at 47.5. It's a little high. It's a little high. I will take
feel high.
47.5, and it's also minus 120. So that's the favorite is over 47.5. But I think regardless, if the Titans get up big and Anthony Richardson's from behind and has to come back and score points, I think Anthony Richardson's going to run the football. And it's probably going to be not as much design runs, but more scramble. And I think he's just going to accumulate over 47.5 rushing yards throughout this game against the Titans. And so that is something I like against the Titans. So over 47.5 for Richardson rushing yards. And you've got Derrick Henry to score and the Titans to win at plus 145.
Yes, sir.
All right. I also don't hate my guy Tajay Spears over 23.5 rushing yards this week as well. Colts gave up a bunch of yards rushing to the Rams last week, over 200. So
Tajay's a fun over because he's at like also I don't know what it's at right now. If anybody else is looking for another bet, but because BetMGM doesn't have it listed, so whenever it comes out, I nuked the Nick Westbrook-Akine over last week and it crushed, and I think it's hit every single week so far this season.
Yeah,
so
I would expect the NWI over to come out after Burks is officially ruled out.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, if it's in that 20 to 30 yard range, like 25 to 35 yard range, I would take the over on NWI once again.
Yeah, real quick. Jody says too many sacks on that one, Austin. Hey, the NFL does it right, though. Unlike college football, the NFL doesn't count sack yards against the quarterback rushing yards.
That's such an insane thing that college football does.
It's so stupid. It makes no sense.
I will see a mobile quarterback in college, and I'm like, ooh, interesting. How many rush yards did they have last year? I look, and it's like they had 47 attempts for 12 yards. And I'm like,
So
that
dumb.
doesn't tell me anything about the guy's
No.
rushing ability. Can we actually like get
The
a sense
NFL
for
does
the
it right.
impact he had with his legs?
It comes off the team stats net total yards, right?
Yeah.
It's net passing yards. It does not affect the quarterback's passing yards because it shouldn't. Sack yards are its own stat in the NFL, like it should be for college. But that's one thing that I don't understand why it was that way to begin with. But that's just how it goes. So, over 47.5 for Richardson, Derrick Henry touchdown, and a Titans win at plus 145 for Sam. Let's get to Ain't That Good News to send us to the weekend. So shout out Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see our friend Painbone in Lebanon or check them out online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Save money on that new ride. Get a great ride with all the Hyundais they have in stock at Wilson County Hyundai in Lebanon. So Sam, ain't that good news for the chat? I saw Jeff wanted to throw shade. It's not Tuesday, but Jeff, if you want to throw shade, super chat, maybe we'll read it. Who knows on that one, just to make you even more
We did
mad.
have a super chat from earlier from Amnesia that we got to get to before we wrap up here.
Yeah, hit Amnesia super chat real quick.
Amnesia with a $10 super chat says, what point is Moore going to get the attention Burks is getting? You guys seem to be playing his abilities off. Dude has been a playmaker in every game, deserves some attention. I mean, I think Chris Moore, like, you love Chris Moore, Austin. I like Chris Moore too.
I like Chris Moore. I think he's a really good guy. I had great conversations with him through training camp. Feel like we bonded pretty quick, but yeah, he's a really good fourth option as a receiver.
And I would tell you, Amnesia, yesterday in the Titans locker room, I looked up and I saw a mob of media members surrounding Chris Moore. So I think he is starting to get some of that attention. 3 straight games with a catch of 30 plus yards. That's been big for the Titans and like jump starting their offense. I think you take it with a grain of salt a little bit because one, I don't think his was a catch last weekend between you and me. But you know what? Titans will take it. And Chris Moore has been very good at coming through when the Titans have called his number so far this year. So I think he deserves some credit and deserves a tip of the hat, but I don't think he has been like, he's not Treylon Burks, and he's not going to get that level of attention because he's not the same caliber of player. So I would disagree with the idea that he has not gotten the attention he deserves, but, appreciate the super chat and the thoughts.
Yeah. Good news. John says, I'm in time for my good news. Wife's country ass house is getting fiber installed in Arkansas on Wednesday. I'll soon be able to watch games on Paramount Plus. How about that? That's great.
What's fiber?
Like Google Fiber, it's super fast Wi-Fi.
Okay, Google Fiber. Okay.
Yeah. Denise says, good news, 3-day weekend, nothing but sports, NFL, college, baseball, hockey. Yeah, Columbus Day for all those who have the day off on Monday. We don't. We'll be here talking Titans Colts on Monday morning there. Sean says, good news. It's the wife and I's wedding anniversary. Happy 16 years to Mr. and Mrs. Gill. Good news number 2, right up in the newspaper today, the Sun is averaging 5.8 yards per carry on the season, 6 touchdowns so far. Sean's, again, we're just I'm waiting for the recruiting profile for Sean Gill's son, because he's just been balling. Like, A to Z Sports as a company is 7 years old, and Sean's son has just dropped like 25 points a game in basketball and is just scoring touchdowns throughout his entire career.
You've seen the evolution of the recruit.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, Sean's kid kills it. Matt says, good news. Titans going to 3-2 this weekend. Jeff, good news. DJ Moore and Justin Fields got him 90 plus points in fantasy last night. But free my man Fields. Bears coaches and front office is horrible. Sam, your thoughts?
It's nice to see one go through the hoop. I was very happy for Justin Fields last night, watching him smile on the sideline. But I got to tell you, Austin, I'm a little worried that. So this is my fear with the Bears, is that we are going to get in a spot where Justin Fields does just enough to make you like believe again. Because after week 3, I was like, okay, now it's Caleb Williams time in Chicago. Here we go. Back-to-back games with 4+ touchdown passes, looking nice. The DJ Moore connection looks very, very nice. And I'm worried that like you're going to end up in no man's land. So I don't know. We'll see. Fun fact, Justin Fields leads the NFL in touchdown passes. How do you like them apples?
Well, I mean, is that because he's the only quarterback who's played 5 games?
Yeah, but still, I'm still absolutely rolling with that for the next 3 days. That's my narrative.
Dimitri says, good news. It's Drake Day. His new album was released this morning. We had a tweet at us, Sam, early this morning that was like, you guys are right. Drake sucks. So I don't know if Demetrius is down. Did you see that, Sam?
I did not see that, but I have not been in that camp. Well, like, why am I getting
Major Keys tweeted us at 6:16 this morning. Y'all were right. Drake does suck.
I was fighting for Drake in that conversation. You said Drake sucks.
Yes, Drake sucks.
I said Drake was an icon and like one of the greatest to ever do it. So I respect the hell out of Drake. So separate here. I'm not in the hate on Drake camp. I don't.
Well, you need to get that straight with Major Keys on Twitter. I'll let you handle that.
I don't want that smoke, man.
Johnny says, good news. It's Friday and all is right in his world. That is good news. Jay Boston says, good news. Finally getting some nice fall weather in central Illinois. Let's see. Apparently we just set off his
Peoria getting some good weather, apparently.
Yeah, right. Let's see. More good news. Jacob says, one of his weekends with the sun. That's great news. Rooney asks, does anybody have Columbus Day off? Banks, I think, do. Schools usually put Columbus Day within their fall break, so they don't have to deal with it.
I used to get Columbus Day off for school, I think.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to holidays at all.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Jeff comes in with his super chat shade. He says, throwing shade on Brenda Tracy for lying to investigators and having relationships with 2 married coaches at the same time and targeting them. She's evil. I did a quick Google because I did not know who Brenda Tracy was because I don't follow the story. But that is apparently the Michigan State staffer that got.
I was confused.
Yeah, they got Mel Tucker fired for a lot of awful things. But I know nothing about Brenda Tracy or what she has or hasn't done. So
yeah, I'd not heard that name before. So
yeah, I think Roy, I think you're also right. The post office does get Columbus Day off, I believe.
Good for the post office.
Yeah, banks in the post office, man.
The 0.01% of people in America.
I think like I know banks. I think also maybe some like medical facility, like doctors' offices, maybe get Columbus Day off. I'm not really sure. But Sam, what is your good news today?
My good news is like it might end up being bad news because I'm going to a movie later tonight and I am watching Exorcist Redemption, I think it's called, like the new one. Yeah, I kind of got talked into it. I'm going to see it. I don't like horror movies. Like I'm usually
you're going to see The Exorcist.
So I like am kind of excited. Like it kind of looks good, but I also know I'm probably going to hate it and very much regret it after. So it's a good news because right now, present day, current Sam is looking forward to it. I will not be happy with that decision at 7:45 p.m. tonight. So all relative here, I guess. We'll see.
Trey says horrible idea, Sam. And is this a girlfriend's idea?
Yeah, so it's a group outing to The Exorcist. Yeah.
Can't wait.
They like horror movies. I'm not a horror movie guy, and I straight up got terrified at the trailer. So I don't know.
No, I'm the same way. If I'm watching something and I see a scary trailer coming up, I'm like, no, absolutely not. I do not want to get any of that into my brain before I go to sleep.
The key that I have found is getting through a horror movie. You have to bring comedic relief.
Yep.
Normally I hate people that talk during movies, but I'm bringing 2 of my friends and I might talk through the whole thing with them and be like, we got to find something to not take this as seriously. Cause if I sit here and dial into this, it's going to sit in my soul for a couple weeks. So
Robert says, Sam's going to show up to Monday, sleep deprived. No, I mean, Sunday for the Titans game day, Sam's going to be ghostly white and big wide eye. I haven't slept since I saw The Exorcist.
I've been seeing the 2 little girls from Exorcist Redemption for the last 48 hours. Yeah. That, I'm worried about it, chat.
You could have gone next Friday.
No, because next Friday I have to see the Taylor Swift movie with my girlfriend. So that's,
Well, that's it. Next Friday is Friday the 13th.
Well, Ask Taylor Swift why she dropped her Eras Tour movie on Friday the 13th.
Because Taylor Swift is so pure that even that gets on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I guess.
That's why. My good news is when scheduling plays out beautifully. One of my wife's coworkers' wedding is tomorrow on the Vols bye week.
Hey,
Nothing.
That's intentional, right?
No.
Well, is wife's coworkers
Nope.
A Vol fan?
Nope.
Oh,
completely beautifully timed out. Vols bye week. I love weddings. We've talked about this. I think weddings are fun. If you invite me to a wedding,
agree.
I will go and I will have a great freaking time. And I'm a great wedding guest too.
This is like that would be a shade of mine. I don't know how weddings got like this bad rap. I hear people all the time being like, "Oh, you got to go to another wedding." That's fun. It's like a party for free that you get to go to on the weekend. That's a great time.
Yes.
With probably most of the time people that you know and haven't seen in a while. Like that sounds like an excellent way of spending time with food and
And like I have been to weddings during Tennessee Vols games. I know Jake, our social media manager, is an Ole Miss grad. He was at a family wedding last weekend. The ceremony began at kickoff for Ole Miss LSU. But I'm sure that reception was even more memorable because that Ole Miss wedding got to party through that LSU game. And right. So you find different ways to use it. I was at a wedding during the Kick Six, Auburn, Alabama back in the day. And that was, I remember that wedding even more than I probably would have without that joint experience. And it's not against the couple. It's just a different way to make it. So yeah, I got very lucky. This is the last wedding of the year. And so it's, Vols bye week, big dub for me. So
there you go.
No pressure.
I mean, if you're having a wedding during like a big game or something, you better make TVs available for
Yeah, well, now you don't need a TV. Like
true. Yeah, that's
true.
You've got the guy sitting at their table with the ESPN app open, and
I think there are 2 football games I watch on my TV: the Vols and the Titans. Every other football game I probably watch on my phone. To be honest.
What is that? Like, where do you get I mean, ESPN Plus has some of them, or I guess like you can Fox Sports app, CBS Sports app.
I mean, my Xfinity Stream app, I get whatever. True. Yeah, I get whatever's on my actual cable. I just watch on my phone because then I can just walk around the house. I can go in the kitchen. I can cook. I can do everything. I can go wherever I want to go. I can go in the backyard. I'm just sitting there watching the game follows me. That's
the only thing with those apps is you have to be on home Wi-Fi. I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if
just for just for certain networks, just like CBS. Well, now I have the CBS Sports app too, so that helps that. But there's a lot of ways to do it.
Yeah. Hey,
that's how I win. The game comes
power
with
of
me.
Technology.
Football on your phone, just like Eli told us several years ago. All right, that'll do it for us. Hey, big weekend coming up. Like I said, no Vols game, so no game day for them. But Sam and Jack will have you guys covered for Titan Game Day Live for Titans Colts. That's coming up 30 minutes before kickoff. Also, I'm going to be streaming live on A to Z's TikTok for at least the first quarter. We're just going to see how that goes. I don't know if it's going to go well. People are going to think I'm extra crazy or not, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a shot. So check out Sam and Jack on Titan Game Day Live for pregame, halftime, and postgame. Thank you to all of our Titan Game Day Live partners that have joined us this season. But before you head out of here to the weekend, make sure you like the show before you go. Hit that thumbs up button. It always goes an extra long way for us. And we'll see you guys throughout the weekend and on Sunday for Titans at the Colts. Have a safe weekend. Thanks.